What's up, developers? Welcome to the second part of my OpenAI API video series. Today we're going to be talking about image generation with DALL-E, OpenAI's image generation API. Now, there are three things that this thing does. That's creating images from a prompt. You can edit with a mask and add things to an image, or you could create variations of an existing image. Now, this is greatly exemplified by a software called Midjourney. It's a Discord bot that you can invite to your server, and it will generate images based on a prompt. And Midjourney uses the DALL-E API. That's prime example, the only one I can think of off the top of my head. You can probably imagine 1,000 use cases for just creating images like this. So that's what we'll be talking about today. So let's jump right in. We're going to be using Python and Visual Studio Code with the OpenAI package. Be sure to get an API key so you can fill out this. And if you don't have that, check out the first video in this series on creating a virtual assistant, because I go into depth on how to get an API key, set up OpenAI in Visual Studio. Once you have that set up, check out the link in the description for the GitHub that has all this code so you can follow right along with me. And essentially, what we're going to do now is just run the code. While we wait for that to generate, I'll go over what all this does. We're saving the response from client images generate inside this variable, and we're picking the model. There are two models available, DALL-E 3 and DALL-E 2. DALL-E 3 is great for image generation. I believe the masking and adding things to an image is only available in DALL-E 2, and DALL-E 2 is also used for just creating variations. But we're using DALL-E 3 because we're generating an image here. You can include your prompt. Now, if you're making, say, something that lets a user prompt, then you could set this to the input, but I'm just setting it to Victorian style coffee mug. We'll see what that makes. I think it's going to look really cool. Then we have size equals 1024 by 1024. It's going to create a square image, and there are other image formats that OpenAI prefers you to use because DALL-E works best with certain formats. So I've linked the documentation in the description if you want to check out what they're offering. And now quality is standard, and this is best for most cases. You don't really need higher than this unless you are making some amazing high quality image that has to be high definition. And I'll show you in a minute when we check out what this generated, just the high quality image that this already provides. The image URL, pretty self-explanatory. We take the response data, the first part of the array, and get the URL from the data response. We just print the URL, which shows up here. Now, you can make this show up however you want to. I'm just keeping it simple for video's sake. And this is what I was talking about. This is already a really high quality image, and you can see it does a phenomenal job generating pictures just based on a couple words. So I'm going to save this as mug.png inside of a project file. You can save it wherever. Just be aware that when you're referring to it inside of your code, you'll have to put the file path. So we're going to go back to our code, and inside the GitHub files, there will be an image variation file, which you'll also need to put your API key in here. Then we will set this to whatever we named our image. We can run it because mine's already set. And it's doing the same thing. It's calling client images create variation. And this doesn't have a model option because only DALL-E 2 is available for variation. You can send the image with this image attribute. And I'm setting open because it's a locally stored file, but you can do URLs as well. And size 1024 by 1024. You will want to match the size to whatever your image is because you will get an error otherwise. Then we get the URL again and print the URL. Here is our variation. Here, copy, paste, and boom, we have a variation on this. You can tell it based it on this image 100%. The overall format is similar, but this is variation on the mug from before. It's not as pretty, and that is about all there is to DALL-E's image generation. It's very straightforward. I'll link the docs in the description if you want to check it out further. And that wraps up our tutorial. It wasn't a very long one because image generation is very straightforward and easy, but it is incredibly powerful. Probably my favorite part of using OpenAI. And if you like this tutorial, be sure to like and subscribe as this really helps the channel grow. And I will continue to make OpenAI based tutorials until we get to a point where we're making some sick projects. So thank you for your support, and I will see you on the next one.